Oh man, I just got back from Florida, guys. It
Oh, it must have been
was
fun. I saw you.
terrible.
How was your pilgrimage?
I have returned
Brother, tell
from
me what you
the
have seen.
terrible, awful things. Grown men wearing tanks and backwards baseball caps in December.
Florida is the only place in the world where people are still rolling into tattoo parlors like, hey, do you got the barbed wire bicep thing?
Yeah, no, I saw multiple fresh barbed wire tattoos.
Hey, when I say shitty tribal tattoo, what's the image that you see in your head? Okay, give me exactly that on every limb.
The image in my head is immediately a white NFL lineman from Nebraska.
Oh no, mine's a meaty Jersey Shore looking motherfucker who's probably already drunk.
Walk on at Notre Dame, currently barback at Margaritaville, Fort Lauderdale.
You know, that's probably fair. Nebraska did more of the branding that those guys would do. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
fair.
that shit's so weird. But yeah, Florida was it was awful. I got to
Would
hear
you
a lot
even
about-
say it was dumb and awful?
it's a terrible garbage place. I got to hear a lot about my dad's views on AOC. That was fun.
Yeah, what did he think?
Oh, he refers to her as the dumb woman in New York.
That's
That's
a
what he,
very weird take.
right. That's what he led with, and I was like, New York's a big place. There's a lot of dumb people.
I
What
mean,
are you
Hillary
talking
Clinton
about?
lives here. Am I wrong,
No,
folks?
like-
Oh, okay, fine.
Who
He
you
said
referring to?
dumb, not numb.
Numb to the pain of others. No, he definitely feels very he very clearly had eaten up the talking point of she's young and knows nothing, right? Because when I said, "Oh, who are you talking about?" He's like, "You know, the OCAO." I was like, "AOC?" I'm like, "Yeah, her. She's ridiculous. She doesn't know anything is she talking about." All right, Dad. Well, I asked him. I was like, "All right, well, what does she not know?" And he struggled to get out. I think he was trying to refer to some fact check thing that had been done about.
Oh, it's probably
she quoted
the three
quoted-
branches of government thing.
No, that's what I was expecting. But instead, he was digging into this fact check bullshit about like she quoted some dollar amount and it was actually this other dollar amount. And she
Got her. Got
I was
her.
like-
Owned. Now you can't be in politics because they caught you being less than accurate. Pack it
Yeah,
up, boys. The whole campaign's over.
I mocked him as long as I could before he started getting angry, which doesn't take long. Or I was like, man, a politician who misquotes a figure to make a political point. Oh boy, she is an idiot. I've never seen something like that before.
Your dad's going to be so fucking pissed when he finds out about Mitch McConnell.
Florida is such an odd, weird place to go visit. Going anywhere where there is culture or even the semblance of architecture, art, or anything like that, it's very weird to go back to Florida because Florida is like someone dehumanized a place, if that's possible.
What do you mean by
Like,
that?
it just feels like a waiting room. The entirety of Florida feels like a waiting room. Everything is brand new, cookie cutter, relatively clean-ish, at least on the surface.
At least as clean as it's going to get.
Right. It's sunny outside, and you're like, all right, I guess this is nice. But there's nothing there, right? There's nothing behind it. It's just empty. It's like when you're sitting in a doctor's office, and you're like, all right, well, this looks like every other waiting room I've ever been in. I should find something to occupy my time, and there's nothing. And you just sit there feeling the minutes of your life pass by while you wait in spectacular agony for it to end. That is the Florida experience.
Damn, that also kind of feels like the me right now experience. I closed my eyes for a good part of that and felt truly seen.
I'm here for you, buddy. Devil crabs are a godsend in Cuban sandwiches. They don't really exist anywhere outside of Florida. And devil crabs is Tampa specific.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
They're incredible. They're this like chopped spiced crab rolled up in panko and fried. Tastes unbelievable.
Ooh.
And you put a little hot sauce on it.
All right. Yeah, okay. That sounds...
It's fucking heaven. I'm not even going to eat again for at least a day or two just to continue to enjoy that last meal.
Oh, I should hope not. I mean,
I just want to make sure we always start with me promising not to eat and Rob getting excited about it.
I'm not excited. I was just worried, and now I'm not.
I appreciate your concern. All right, everyone, welcome to Dumb and Awful. This is Brett.
This is John.
And this is Rob, and we do basically an identical intro every week, including our verbal inflections. It's unnerving, and yet here we are. So I guess nobody has excuses. Brett?
Yeah, every now and then I think about like having a line to say right as I do it, but I don't want to like pause for like a half second, then immediately go into it, and then just have you cut me off.
Look, we've established a pattern. I'm third in the pattern. It's a lot of stress on me. Some would say the anchor position. I need to be there as soon as you, soon as you finish. I need to take the baton. And,
yeah, and
if you don't communicate, if you give me a look, just look southward. If you give me a look that says I have a riff, I feel like I'll know, and I'll take that extra second. And that's what teamwork is. And that's what, in a way, this podcast is all about.
You go third, and you have the riff. So that's nice and easy. That works really cleanly. I like it. Means I don't have to do anything.
No, so this is all for a hypothetical future in which you got it in the back pocket, and you're like, dare I break the pattern? That's high drama. This has basically become Serial season 3 right now. People are glued to it. When will he have this riff?
That's what people tune in for. Fuck, he didn't do the riff. All right, next week.
You know what? But that's the thing, because when you do the riff, people are it's going to feel nice, but then there's going to be no reason to tune in. Everyone, we can guarantee right now that John is going to have the best introductory riff you've ever heard on any podcast or at any event ever. This will be the premier introduction that will continue to be studied through as long as man's history should stand. But it's not this one, and it's probably not next one. Stay tuned, guys. Will it be about anime? Probably. Yes. Will that confuse future generations who won't have the cultural context? Yes. Will they find it as frustrating as we will find it in the moment when he's doing this anime riff? Yes, again. And yet we wait and we watch for this riff.
We were just talking about Transformer Michael Bay movies, and we're dissing anime as some like horrific like nightmare of culture.
There's
Anime
real
Defender
people.
Has logged on.
There's real people in the Michael Bay movies. Okay?
No, there aren't.
I'm not going to get a
It's
body
all
pillow.
CG.
Wait, wait a
Interesting point.
second.
I want to hear you play this one out.
No, what?
Those aren't real people.
No, it's all
Continue.
it's all CG nonsense. It's like okay, yeah, sure. At some point, Shia LaBeouf, or however the fuck you say that name, was standing in front of a green screen, like kind of cowering away from what would inevitably be 70,000 explosions.
Oh, see, I thought you were going for anyone who is starred in a Michael Bay movie is ipso facto not a person and thus should not be considered human.
See, again, I don't mean to destroy you by your own logic, but when you said that CGI was nonsense, I mean, CGI is a form of animation. And to say that CGI is nonsense and bullshit and not real people is to say that Rei Ayanami of Neon Genesis Evangelion is not real and bullshit and not a real person. And I have a body pillow that begs to differ. So QED, mate, you're fucking wrecked.
I'm glad you went with the body pillow joke so that I didn't have to.
Yeah, because I'm a hero. This is that meme where all the arrows and bullets are hitting my back while you sleep and I stand over you.
There's also a reverse to that, Rob, which is you love Final Fantasy XIV, which is just video game anime.
Yeah, but it's in the same way that John, I'm not even going to finish this because this is going to be an anime alley-oop, which is the worst word anyone's ever said.
You're thinking of the anime slam
but
dunk?
you'll see, it'll be an alley-oop because you're going to instantly pick up the reference that I don't know, and through teamwork we'll get there. Final Fantasy XIV is one of those self-aware, winking at the tropes comedy animes that is still critically recognized as good and worth enjoying, such as
One Punch Man.
There you go. I didn't have to say anything.
Yeah.
I'm right. Am I not, John?
Somehow
No, that's clear. That's good. It's a good
2
example.
for 1. Fucking 2 for 1. Own 2 nublets with 1 logical fallacy. So there you go.
Dude, One Punch Man's great.
Yeah, and so is Final Fantasy 14.
Good, we all agree.
And that's what the discourse is about.
Durarara.
This was a good discourse. We really proved what discourse is all about. All we need now is some institutional racism, and we've got ourselves a body politic.
Well, institutional racism, I've got something for you.
Oh,
The
yay.
current VA secretary, so the guy who runs Veteran Affairs, apparently is a lost causer, which for those who don't know means he's really bought into the Confederacy and the nonsense that they were somehow honorable and noble.
The Confederacy. That makes it sound like there's someone like at the end of Trading Places on the stock market, like Confederates.
There are people who collect Confederate money still, so it's possible.
Listen, do what you want, but I'm shorting this Tecumseh fellow. I can't even pronounce his name. My name's John Q. Atlanta.
He's bought in. He goes to events sponsored by the United Daughters of Confederacy. Cool group. Always leads with, he's no apologist for the South, but the ferocity of the Confederate soldier and the viewing it solely through the lens of slavery and by the slovenly standards of the present is dishonest and a disservice to our ancestors.
How many times do you think he's seen Gone with the Wind?
I'm sure he has a Rhett Butler poster in his bedroom above the ceiling. His speech, he says, it's quote, while he was no apologist for the South, he views Confederate history as, quote, history and ferocity of the Confederate soldier solely through the lens of slavery and by the slovenly standards of the present is dishonest and a disservice to our ancestors, viewing him that way.
What are the slovenly standards of the present?
By the way, if you are imagining a man saying the word slovenly as some sort of fit or clean cut gentleman, you would be incorrect. He is a chubby little weirdo with small glasses, and he looks like a slovenly.
And I can explain like what he's talking about.
Yeah, I would love, because in what way can you? Here's the thing. I know the non-PC answer to that, obviously, what he's talking about. But what is the dog whistle way, or is he not even attempting a dog whistle there?
The dog whistle way is that Confederate truthers basically go with, oh, the Civil War wasn't just about. It was about states' rights. It was about the southern states wanting to govern themselves and being pissed at Washington and Lincoln coming in and forcing them to secede. And I mean, of course, it's complete bullshit because I mean, you just, as people have pointed out, just look at every single one of those fucking state constitutions the Confederate states wrote, and they all just said, "Oh man, slavery is fucking awesome."
They did say that.
He continues, though. He talks about it where, quote...
Wait, hold on. Just on that real quick. It's funny that the South feels the need to both simultaneously pretend it wasn't about slavery, but also, like, really lean into the fact that they don't give a shit that it was about slavery. Like, I went to Lookout Mountain in Chattanooga once, and there was, like, a museum for the War of Northern Aggression.
Oh, yeah.
Like the South was doing absolutely nothing wrong, and the North was just like, give us that territory we already have. Got them.
Is that near the one with like the park where all the Confederate soldiers are riding like dinosaurs?
Okay, close. If you go about 50 miles south, another place. Have any of you guys been to Stone Mountain?
Yes.
I have not, but I have heard the legends.
Place
so.
fucking rules. It's just a big granite zit on the face of the earth. It's not a mountain. It's just malformed, and it's malformed enough that on the side of it, in the granite, some poor people had to carve Confederate generals' visages. And on the 4th of July every year, and this is, of course it's true, they do a laser light show while playing Leonard Skinner's Freebird. And for the grand finale, the lasers make it look like them Confederate generals and their horses is running straight down off the goddamn mountain.
I mean, I gotta admit,
none of that's made up.
This sounds like
true.
this sounds
it's the high
like,
point of the social calendar in Stone Mountain, Georgia.
I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that everyone else there would be fully into it, that seems like it'd be kind of fun to experience.
Oh,
As
it's wild.
I mean, as a Bostonite who'd be
Look.
going down there just to ogle at the rednecks.
Look, is it beautiful? Yes. Is it classy? Yes. Is that where my niece had her debutante ball? Yes. But I agree with you even further in that it's unfortunate sometimes, John, that things that suck can be fun and good. Like, yeah, if you were rip shit at a laser light show and a bunch of horsemen ran off the side of a mountain, that's pretty cool. And in fact, Confederate anthem, I'm just going to say it. Better anthem than the American anthem. I will not be reading the replies. Have you heard Dixie?
Yeah, Dixie's incredible.
Yeah.
Dixie is like an actual song that has a beat that you can clap and dance to. It's the same with the Soviet Union. Like America at some point, in the long run, they pulled it out. But the USSR on the music front has the American anthem is either irritating or tedious. That's the only two ways it can be. The Soviet anthem can be a trap remix. Again, QED, Logical Master has logged on.
Sometimes the American anthem plays, and then you get "Oh Canada," and that's kind of okay. Even if
It's a relief.
Hockey.
When "Oh Canada" comes on, I'm like, thank God.
By the way, if you ever do attend Stone Mountain, anyone listening to this or John, and you really, really want to get in a fight, say Sherman was right at the top of your lungs.
There are those people. That's the one part of the Southern education system that's actually kind of working, is that nobody in the South knows anything past, like, let's say 1992 in terms of history, but they're all experts on 19th century generals in the Civil War.
Yep.
Every single
yeah.
person knows the pros and cons of every minor fucking dumb shit thing, and they hate Sherman for burning down what was probably a very burned downable city at the time, and continues to this day to be a very burned downable city. Atlanta, Georgia.
Exactly. By the way, so all of these people who go to the Stone Mountain thing are like native Georgians, multiple generations, right? Like my family is all from Kentucky for the most part, in Georgia. So my mom gets misty-eyed when she talks about Robert E. Lee.
Imagine
Not
being
joking.
from Kentucky and Georgia, where the more prestigious part of your claim is Kentucky.
It's true. That is the more prestigious part of the family.
Look,
She-
actually, inside Atlanta is great, but everything outside of it, oh, write it off.
Oh, 100%. There's a reason the city and the state fight each other constantly.
I don't like the whole penal culture we have here in America, but just turn Georgia back into a penal colony for rednecks.
Yep. Let Atlanta be its own state, and just the rest of it can be a colony again. This guy, by the way, Wilkie, who is super bought into the Confederacy. I'm going to stick with it. Where do you think he's from?
Oh, almost certainly either. I'm going to guess the Midwest. Going to guess like Wisconsin.
Racist Bend, Alabama.
He was born in Germany. He grew up in England. And then he came to North Carolina for high school. So North Carolina high school, you all are racist as fuck if this guy got down with Confederacy in 4 fucking years.
Yeah, but if your options were the Confederacy, British culture, and German culture, that's a real fuck, marry, kill of dilemmas.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean,
Yeah, you
Okay,
gotta tug your
wait.
collar real hard.
Wait, how
Let's play
old
this
is
out.
he?
Let's play this out. Fuck, marry, kill. Confederacy, British culture, German culture.
Well, I mean, it depends when. Like, what British culture are you talking about? Was he in,
You
was he
know
in Britain
what
in the
British
80s?
culture
I
we're
know
talking
what
about.
one we're talking about, but I mean, if he grew up in Britain in the 80s, he would at least have, like, British punk culture. That's at least, like, approaching kind of fun.
No, we can't take the fun parts of the culture. It has to be... Because otherwise you could take the fun parts of the Confederacy. Like
Exactly. I'll make this
like
more
fucking your
specific too.
cousin.
He's
So, like,
he was in
that one
he was
Kid
in
Rock
southern
video.
So he was in southern England, he was in Frankfurt, Germany, so Western Germany, and he was in North Carolina. Those are the 3 flavors you can have. So fuck, marry, kill. Southern England, Western Germany, North Carolina Confederacy. I'm fucking North Carolina Confederacy because Southern accents can be hot on certain women. I'll admit it. The Southern belle thing's attractive. I'm marrying... Ooh. Oh, God, I think I'm going to marry the British and kill the German. Oh, that's a tough one.
All right.
Well, I mean, I think we're both marrying the British here.
Okay, guys. I hate to put a twist on it, but just to sex it up a little bit. Okay, it's not just the culture in general; it's one particular part. So, if you would focus your attention to the Confederate bit of the South, English imperialism, and the literal Wehrmacht. Okay, girls, go.
Yeah, no, I'm still sticking with my answer.
Wait, you would marry British imperialism?
Over German or Southern? I know Southern.
No,
so
they're
that's
the
just out for
Wehrmacht.
me.
Hey, that could just be normal soldiers.
Wait,
British
I've
imperialism
lived-
knows what it's doing. Oh, yeah, no, I
I've
thought
lived
this
in
through for many weeks.
I've lived in 2 of these 3 locations. I'm not marrying either of the 2 I've lived in, so that pretty much eliminates all the options.
So you're going to find yourself married to exploitive British colonialism just based on where you happen to have laid down your roots before. Damn,
Yes.
if that isn't
But
facts,
also-
I don't know what is.
Also, I will give you one other reason, because the British at least have the decency to be filled with self-loathing.
If I married the British, at least I would get to at least visit some of my cultural artifacts.
Ooh, fucked up but true.
Yeah, you got a good point there.
And I'm killing the Confederates. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. Like,
Totally fair. And fucking the Germans. Yeah, no.
They would be the one to fuck, though, right?
Yeah, it's a toss-up for me between that and the Southern, but yeah, I can see the argument for
I've
them.
seen some German videos, and say no more, fam. All right.
Big fan of German dungeon porn, huh?
That's like, yeah. That's like saying that there's one character in The Wire. Like, it represents such a tiny sliver of a vast cornucopia of pathologies.
Possible German porn?
Yeah.
You're right.
I
There's
will
German
say,
scat porn. There's...
I've
Oh, sorry.
definitely heard more tales of German porn than I have ever gone looking for it. It's just not. It's been like, oh hey, it's all shit and gross and dungeon stuff, and it's like, okay, cool. I'm not gonna look for that.
Yeah, I'm with the guy that used to smuggle hentai from Hong Kong. German stuff.
At least no one got harmed in the making of no.
No,
Not even
but
gonna
no,
continue
but like
that.
you got to think about like in creating it and all that. I mean, I'm sure people got like sore wrists and you know, like animators or whatever.
The thing I've always wondered is like when they animate that stuff and they have to get women in to do the voices, and that always just seemed like the shittiest like non-menial labor job.
Bro, you don't think Japanese women know about Japanese men?
I mean, of course they do. I'm just saying, it's like,
Oh, I'm taking a
Man,
voice
just-
acting gig at an anime company. I'm sure it'll be very normal. I'm sure nothing about this will be weird. Let me just go in with reasonable expectations for my dignity.
So none of us married the Confederacy, though. I want to point that out. It was not on the table.
Yeah, let's get
Mr.
to our
uh,
article. Let's get to our article.
Mr.
30
Mr.
minutes
Wilkie,
in.
though. Mr. Wilkie, though. Or, excuse me, Robert Wilkie. I don't know why I kept saying Steve. Robert Wilkie definitely married the Confederacy.
Do you think he ever says, or as my friends call me, Robert Wilkie Booth, killed Lincoln? You know what I'm talking about? Confederacy stuff.
This guy, by the way, was only recently appointed after they pushed out Shulkin, who was an actual general who had a ton of experience. And I'm not going to say he was amazing, but he was solid. And he was pushed out for some incredibly minor scandal, whereas this motherfucker's out giving speeches on the Confederacy while being in charge of the largest healthcare organization in America, governmental healthcare organization. Wait, nope. Medicare exists. I take that back.
I mean,
Go ahead.
like Confederate lifers, like they suck, and it's a terrible thing. But man, I feel like the last like 5 years has really just pummeled me into submission on this stuff, because now I'm thinking like, at least he's not a Conan guy. Like, we've got those guys in government now.
What
Oh,
the
the QAnon?
fuck? What in
QAnon,
the-
you mean
what?
QAnon?
Yeah, QAnon.
Kanan?
That's how you-
Kanan?
John, that's how I
John,
know you haven't heard it out loud before.
Kanan?
I have. I'm really.
Oh,
bad
I'm
at pronouncing
disgusted. One time I was watching X-Files, and my dad was like, I really love that character Moldar. And that's when I murdered him. I've been fatherless ever since. The fact that you just went Kwanan, why would you think that? Why would you do this to us?
If you lived in Florida where QAnon was incredibly popular, you'd know how to pronounce
His
it.
name is Q. How do you know enough about QAnon to have a take, but not know that Q is an anon, as in 4chan, anonymous? Q,
I
anonymous.
tried to make it into
Q.
2 syllables instead of 3. I'm sorry.
QAnon.
Quanon. Just 2 syllables. It just flows better, you know?
So let's go from one problematic racist to another group, the Russians.
I love this story. Like, I mean, this has all been stuff, and it's all been co-opted by really stupid things, and like the meme part of it isn't like that impactful in the grand scheme of things. But I just kind of love this.
What is this? What happened?
Yeah, I was gonna say. You're just gonna.
Oh, I was gonna let you flow into then actually describing what's going on, but I guess I can.
So you're just gonna hype man it. I
was just trying to hype it off.
Yeah, he's just there where you're like, speaking of problematic races, here's the Russians, and he's like, no further thought required. Yes, yes. Don't think about it too hard.
Racist Russians.
It's a broad group of people. What?
Another story came out about the Russian influence operation in 2016, and about how this is from one of the 2 Senate investigative bodies that's looking into it. And it was about how they had, one, a larger presence on Instagram than originally thought, posting all of those delicious cakes and super hot Instagram models, hashtag vote for Trump. But the big part here was that they were explicitly targeting African Americans, and not just explicitly, they were targeting more African Americans than any other group. And they were doing it to try to fan the flames of racial resentment and racial discord in order to just do the general Russian thing of creating fucking problems in America.
But yeah, I just absolutely love them going through the attempted making of like fake personalities for Instagram and stuff, particularly the ones they're trying to set in Atlanta, as you said, to target the Southern African Americans and try to depress turnout. And yeah, whew, that's a thing.
You know what wouldn't depress turnout? If the person running for the Democratic Party wasn't a piece of shit when it came to those things.
But she married the first black president.
I just love the idea, as the resident / expert Slav on this podcast. I love the idea that some non-zero amount of money went towards paying Slavs to pretend to be African Americans in the Atlanta community. And if you read the article, there were so many groups that they were tasked with creating so many videos. And some of them are just like them imagining what a black person. Again, some of these people, they're living in like Eastern Georgia or like just the dregs of the post USSR Warsaw Pact area. And
you said Eastern Georgia and dregs, and I thought you meant America.
Oh fuck, that's actually probably confusing.
I know it isn't. I know they have the internet, but can't you just imagine like a car full of these guys going to Blockbuster Video, which I just presume still exists in the Ukraine?
That's actually Poland's #1 grossing company in 2018.
and just going in and being like, oh yeah, let's they've got Coming to America. Okay, let's get Do the Right Thing. Just going home and then like watching these just to try to like to try to do background research on this, but instead they just of course they just went on YouTube and just watched some rap videos, which is of course the way to do it.
That's absolutely correct. That do be what it's like, because I showed Avatar to a Romanian once and he actually died from a brain hemorrhage. That's how far behind they are.
It's mostly just to sow chaos, right? Like that's always been the Russian ops. Whenever they do intel stuff in America, it's like just create chaos and division. And since Trump is just that made manifest, it's pretty fucking easy to be like, well, I'll just support that dude. He creates division everywhere he fucking goes. Yeah, not like it's hard. The country is just riven with inconsistencies that are becoming completely incompatible with the ongoing structure of society. Like, it just can't continue this way. So I don't really want to pat the Russians on the back for being like, look at all this fucked up shit that's happening. Like, yeah, no, we're in the midst of figuring that out ourselves. Thanks, guys.
I will say that this has been a tactic that Russia has used throughout the Cold War and even beforehand, targeting minority groups in the U.S. because, I mean, it's an easy thing to target because the U.S. has historically treated these groups terribly, and they were going after them with, socialist and communist propaganda for 50 years, throughout the entire Cold War. It makes sense to do. I mean, do you want to talk about what the U.S. has done to other countries in the world in this in this venue? But I mean, it's just more of, I guess, for the first time, the main thing we can say about 2016 is that was when the Republican Party was just like, yeah, no, this is cool. This is a good thing.
I mean, these guys were also pretty aggressive doing Blue Lives Matter type stuff. As soon as it says in the article that as soon as the Russians saw that starting to percolate, they immediately leaped on it and tried to spread it further. I like this bit just because of how ridiculous it is. So first they started an Instagram account called Army of Jesus. And then first they posted images from The Muppet Show. Then they posted images from The Simpsons. And then by early 2016 became Jesus focused. Multiple memes associated Jesus with Mr. Trump's campaign and Satan with that of his rival Hillary Clinton. Muppet Show, Simpsons, Jesus, Trump, Devil Hillary. Yeah, no, I see that.
Yeah, no, that's all normal. That you just described like any of dozens of Twitter and Instagram accounts. So yeah, no, that makes sense.
That's just the baby boomer mind on the internet. Hey, look at this cool show I like. Oh, look at this other show that I enjoy. You know what? We should really talk about how Trump is Jesus made flesh and Hillary Clinton is the devil. Lock her up.
Speaking of Jesus, by the way, I don't know if you saw, but apparently the Russian operation involved several attempts at like blackmail traps.
Oh, the sex video stuff? Or like the thing is they were just trying to get people to contact them and tell them, think like basically they were targeting suicidal people, or they were trying like a very funny thing that I'll let you get to in a second. But they were targeting suicidal people and say, hey, or if you're like a troubled gay GLBT youth, you can call this number and just talk to us, and we'll just be a good supporting lending ear, and basically just acting as a honeypot to get information on people.
For one example of the sorts of things that the Jesus Instagram account liked to post and has been posted elsewhere by Russian troll farms is this meme of Jesus comforting a young man. And the quote is, struggling with the addiction to masturbation? Reach out to me and we will beat it together. End quote. Jesus. I like the second beat it in there. It's really doing great work.
That's one of those things where it's so good it can't be intentional because man has limits.
That's definitely just accidental gold. It's beautiful.
Also, I love the idea of the Russians laying like a blackmail trap, but it being so low stakes, it's like masturbation. Like it's American culture in 2018. Like if Kamala Harris literally called that number, it might make her more electable to me.
I was
she's like, I'm a cop, but I love
like,
masturbating. I'd be like, okay, let's hear her out.
I was trying to think of like ultra fundy thing, and I was thinking like Huckabee's Sons, and then I'm like, no wait, they were kicked out.
That's a big jump to make, by the way.
I mean, they like were kicked out of a camp for beating a dog to death. Like, even then, like, no, this is like some, yeah. Ugh. Anyway, that killed that.
Oh, I didn't know that they.
You lost me on that leap. So and
what?
Then I hate.
Well, no, I was just
about them.
No, beating. I think it's like beating off, and he went like, "Remember the time the Huckabee Sons beat a dog to death?"
Well, I was gonna say it's like the.
And we all went. No, this is new information that we'll need time to process. And then there was a long silence. That's what just happened.
Google it.
No, we all believed you. That's part of the problem. That's why
I was just trying to say is like it being like I could see as like, oh, there's some confused ultra fundy people. I've seen the movie Saved. I've seen But I Was a Cheerleader. I know
is great.
this. Yeah. No, both those movies are really good. But So I could see like a people doing this, but then I was trying to think of like the kind of people who would do this, and no, they tend to even still be like way more psychotic than that, or have actual real problems, but also are really fixated on not masturbating.
Yeah, I didn't know about the honeypot thing. That is super fucked up.
I mean, who knows if they were even going to use it for honeypotting stuff, or if they just did it to do it and to just make those types of like outreach attempts just less useful going forward. Who knows?
So the other part of this operation that the Russians were doing were setting up all these fake websites that they'd link back and forth through the social media. John, I think you got the list.
All right. Blackmattersus.com, blacktivist.info, blacktolive.org, blacksoul.us, and then like YouTube channels and the like that were named things like Black to Live. And yeah, no, I mean, like if they just think like if they had hired anyone in the US to just kind of coach them on this, like how much more damaging this could have been. Like as is, like I don't think we've really gotten into it so far, but when they were trying to create these videos and channels and Instagram accounts, they were like really fucking obviously just bullshit and fake nonsense. Like most people, I think at the time just thought it was like AstroTurf shit. Like they were just hiring some like conservatives like niece to create this shit. But you know, like the equivalent of like Turning Point USA. But no, it turns out it was a Russian. So hey, that's a thing. But no, they fucking sucked at it. Like this stuff was all they were just screwing up basic, like incredibly simple things so often, and not simple things that everyone fucks up that you would expect. It was stuff like conflating Los Angeles with Louisiana because they are both LA.
It goes to show though how dumb actual conservative media is, that a handful of Slavs in an office park in like Eastern Ukraine just riffing came up with stuff that seemed completely believable to people accessing this content on Facebook from their red state homes.
Oh, of course. Everything we've mentioned is like infinitely smarter than the shit like Y'all Liberty's putting out there. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Even within the Russian ones, they did have one Instagram account at Blackstagram that had 300,000 followers. Yeah.
Yep. They obviously influenced me into voting for Jill Stein.
They got to you.
No, but no, John. See, this is that post facto, I don't speak Latin shit. But I actually me and you have been, as you know, Facebook friends for a long time. And you might think that the Russian meddling didn't affect you. But if you looked at your profile in 2015, 2016, you were definitely a member of the group. Don't be a menace to society while voting for Jill Stein in the Hood. And Soul Forget About the War Crimes Bush Committed, both of which were fairly, I think, conservative oriented. So you might have fallen prey in the same way that other people fell prey to the targeting.
It's certainly possible.
All right. Anything else?
I'm good.